All right. Welcome, everyone. Ready for another deep dive with me?
Absolutely. Always ready to go deep.
Awesome. So today we're really zeroing in on this idea from ACIM.
Okay.
It's lessons 133, 134, and they come up again in lesson 147 as like a review.
Gotcha.
And it's all about what's truly valuable in our lives and how to forgive.
Forgiveness, huh? Big topic.
Huge, but not the kind of forgiveness we usually think about. This is deeper.
Right, right. Because if you really get what has true, lasting value, forgiveness, it just flows naturally.
It does. Okay, so in this deep dive, we're going to give you some concrete tools and practices, things you can use like today to start applying these ideas.
Exactly. And ultimately, that's what it's all about, bringing more peace into your life day by day.
And growing spiritually.
Absolutely. And it's not as complicated as it might sound at first. Stick with us and you'll see.
Totally. So lesson 133 starts with this line. It says, I will not value what is valueless. Sounds straightforward.
Yeah, on the surface, sure. But I think it's much deeper than that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because it forces us to think about what are we spending our time on?
Our energy.
Yeah, our energy. And even like, what are we giving our mental space to? It's like, are these things actually adding value to my life?
Right. And the Course makes this distinction between, like, what we might call valueless versus true value.
And it's not about money or possessions, right?
No, not at all. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
The Course is saying that a lot of the stuff the world tells us is valuable, things like wealth or status or achievement.
It's stuff we chase after.
Exactly. They're often fleeting,
Yeah.
They don't really last when you look at the bigger picture.
So what does have true value then?
True value, well, the Course talks about love.
Love, peace, inner peace,
Yeah, joy.
feeling connected to something greater than ourselves.
That's it, that connection to the divine. That's where true value lies, according to the Course. Because, you see, true value comes from within.
From within.
Yeah. It's about our connection to our divine essence, which is inherently loving and peaceful.
It's not about those external things like possessions.
Yeah. Those can be lost. Status can change.
They're fleeting.
Exactly. But these inner qualities, love, peace, joy, those are eternal. They reflect our true nature as spiritual beings.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you give some examples of what it looks like to value the valueless in our everyday lives?
Sure. Think about, how everyone's always got to have the latest gadget, new phone, new whatever. There's that initial excitement.
That rush, right.
Right, but it fades so quickly.
And then you're on to the next thing.
Exactly. You're already looking for the next upgrade. It's a cycle. And what are we missing out on while we're chasing that stuff?
Real connection.
Yeah. Meaningful relationships, the stuff that actually brings lasting fulfillment. That's just one example.
That's a good one.
But there are so many others.
Well, what about how we see our self-worth?
That's huge, right? When we base our sense of self-worth on things like what other people think of us.
External validation.
Exactly. Or our social standing, our job title.
All of that external stuff.
Right. It's like we're building our happiness on shifting sand. It's never stable.
Because those things can change in an instant.
Absolutely. And then where does that leave us? Feeling lost, feeling unworthy.
Feeling empty.
Totally. It's a recipe for unhappiness.
And then there's the whole thing about holding on to resentment.
Oh, yeah. Blame, anger.
I think we've all been there.
Right. But clinging to those negative emotions, does it change anything? Does it make us feel better?
No, it doesn't change the past.
Exactly. All it does is keep us stuck in the past, in pain.
It's like we're valuing our own suffering.
Exactly. We're giving it power over us.
And the Course says that how we feel emotionally reflects what we're valuing.
It's a mirror, if we're constantly stressed out, anxious, it might be because we're focused on the wrong things.
The valueless things.
Exactly. It's a wake-up call.
So how can we shift our focus? Can we try that value reflection exercise you mentioned?
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, let's do this together. Just take a moment to reflect. First, where do you spend most of your time and energy each day? Really think about it.
Yeah, like what are you actually doing with your hours?
Right. And then ask yourself, what do you truly believe will bring you lasting happiness? Go deep here. Don't just focus on surface desires.
Really dig deep.
Now, compare those two answers. Are they aligned? Are the things you're investing in truly the things that you believe will bring you lasting joy?
Are they fleeting or enduring?
Exactly. And what are the consequences if they're not aligned? What happens when you keep valuing the valueless?
What happens to your peace, your relationships?
Right. Finally, imagine what would change if you started prioritizing inner peace and love. What would that look like?
What would it feel like?
Yeah. That's the shift we're talking about.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to lesson 134. It's called Let Me Perceive Forgiveness as It Is. And I think this is where things get really interesting.
Absolutely, because the Course has a very specific definition of forgiveness, and it's not what most people think.
Yeah, it's not about condoning or excusing someone's actions.
Right. A lot of people think forgiveness means saying what happened was okay.
Or that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but that's not what the Course is teaching.
So what is it then? What's this authentic forgiveness the Course talks about?
It's about letting go of judgment, truly seeing beyond those specific actions,
Seeing beyond the hurt.
beyond the anger, beyond the blame. It's about recognizing that we're all connected,
Even to the people who've hurt us.
especially to them, because everyone deep down is seeking love and peace, even if their actions don't reflect it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge shift in perspective.
So if someone does something harmful, it's not about saying it was okay.
Right. It's about understanding that they're acting from a place of pain, of fear.
And they're still worthy of love.
Absolutely. And forgiveness, it's primarily for our own benefit. It frees us from resentment.
It allows us to heal.
Exactly. It restores our connection to love, which is our true essence.
Yeah.
And that brings us inner peace.
That's beautiful. So how do we actually practice this in our daily lives? What does forgiveness look like in action?
Well, think about those everyday annoyances. You know, like when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Oh, yeah,
Your first reaction might be anger, frustration, judgment.
definitely.
But forgiveness in that moment could be simply letting go of that irritation.
Choosing not to let it ruin your day.
Exactly. It's not about saying their action was right. It's about choosing peace over anger,
I like that. What about in bigger, more challenging situations?
like difficult relationships.
Yeah, or past traumas.
The principle is the same. It's about consciously choosing to see beyond the behavior, to remember that everyone, even those who hurt us, are seeking love and connection.
So it's about seeing their humanity.
Their shared humanity, yeah. And with past hurts, forgiveness means letting go of the judgment and resentment we're holding on to.
Not forgetting what happened, but not letting it define us anymore.
Right. It's about freeing ourselves from that burden.
That makes sense. So lesson 147 brings these two ideas together. Valuing the valueless and forgiveness. How are they connected?
Well, when you understand that true value comes from within, from love and connection to the divine.
Then those offenses, those things we need to forgive, they don't seem as big anymore.
Exactly. Because you start to see everyone's shared desire for love, even if their actions don't show it. The stuff the world tells us is important, the stuff that causes conflict and pain.
It loses its grip on us.
Exactly. And forgiveness helps us let go of those valueless things even more. Because when we let go of judgment and resentment, we create space for love and peace.
We create space for true value.
Exactly. It's like a cycle. One reinforces the other.
Okay, so practically speaking, how can we start to live this way?
First, you have to make a conscious decision. You have to decide that you want to release resentment and judgment.
Make a commitment to it.
Yeah, and then start paying attention to your thoughts. Throughout the day, notice when you're holding on to anger or unforgiveness.
Just becoming aware of it is huge.
It is. And then you can try using affirmations like, I choose to see beyond this illusion and recognize the love within myself and others.
Repeating that throughout the day.
Exactly. It can really help to shift your mindset over time.
Okay, let's try another exercise. This one's a forgiveness meditation. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. Bring to mind someone you're finding it hard to forgive.
It can be anyone, even if it's just a small thing.
Yeah. Just acknowledge any feelings that come up without judgment.
Just observe them. Now, try to remember that this person, just like you, wants love and peace.
They want to be happy.
Exactly. And now, silently, repeat this affirmation. I forgive you for what I perceive you have done, and I release you to love. I release myself from this judgment.
Take a few deep breaths and notice if you feel any different, any sense of release.
It might be subtle, but every little bit counts. And the more you practice this, the more it will become a natural way of being.
It will change how you see the world.
Right.
So what's the takeaway here? What's the transformative power of all this?
When we stop chasing after valueless things, we free ourselves from so much anxiety, from disappointment, and we can focus our energy on what truly matters.
On love.
On connection.
On inner peace.
Exactly. And forgiveness, it breaks down those walls we build between ourselves and others.
The walls of judgment and separation.
Exactly. It heals our perceptions. It allows us to see ourselves and others with more compassion,
And it helps us to understand the true message of the Course.
which is all about love and connection.
And ultimately, it leads to a more peaceful and meaningful life.
A life that's aligned with our true nature.
I love that. So to wrap it up, our deep dive today focused on lessons 133 and 134 from A Course in Miracles, as reviewed in lesson 147.
And the key takeaway is this: discern what truly has lasting value in your life.
And practice authentic forgiveness, letting go of judgment and resentment.
These are the keys to finding true inner peace and harmony.
Awesome. And for everyone listening, we encourage you to reflect on these teachings today. Notice where you might be valuing things that don't serve you.
And look for opportunities to practice forgiveness, even in small ways.
It can make a huge difference.
Now here's a final thought for you to ponder. Think of something you currently value very highly. Is this worth fleeting or enduring?
Is it truly valuable?
And how might changing your perspective on its value impact your own peace and your relationships?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
Until next time.